Hello, everyone.
Hello. Whoa.
Thanks for joining today's Laugh and Learn Magic Tool Talk about the Clair Senses. Hello, and I see my notice just popped, so there we go. And I am paired with medium Betsy Palmer, right there. Everybody go like and subscribe. I am also paired with Jaime, Wandering Mountain Bardic Path. And unable to be here today is Chris Yao, Barely Balanced Tarot. So,
Hello, Yao.
Yeah.
We're thinking of you. Wish you were here. Pop in if you can.
Do you see us that Betsy goes from the lowest, then you're there, and then I'm like...
There you go.
That's hilarious.
Sorry. So, but
we like that.
There you go. And
I can try and sit up straighter.
Yeah.
Why?
If I sit up straighter, then I'll be up out of the screen.
Okay. Wow. So, okay. So this came about because during the last Laugh and Learn in Magic Tool Talk, somebody brought up talking about the Clairs, didn't they, Betsy, with us? And
yeah. I can't exactly remember, but boy, oh boy. Yeah. Okay.
So essentially, those of you who are watching, you come up with great ideas. So thank you. Keep it up. Okay. Now the notice just posted. Wow. So.
Oh, it sure did. Mine just went dinged on my phone.
Yes. So let's say hi to a few people. We have here. This is medium Betsy Palmer. Make sure you like and subscribe. Here's Jaime, Wandering Mountain Bardic Path. I'm your host, Tarot Stash. Like and subscribe. Yeah, blah blah blah. And then okay, there we go. Now it's now we're still going that direction, but we're doing it differently.
Hilarious.
I have to do it backwards. Anyhow. Lisa Rhodes is here, speaking, I believe, French. So Linda de Gonzalez.
I guess that would be
Jeffrey.
Bonjour. Wait, ciao. Ciao, that's Italian. Wait a minute.
Ciao. Okay. It's Italian. And Jeffrey Smith. Shawl Woman. Hello. Dina, I believe. And Purple Elephant. Oh, look, Astrological Tarot is here, Michelle Marie, and I will be with them tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern doing readings. And
today?
Oh, look, tomorrow on Wednesday.
Okay.
So, okay. Purple Elephant Deb H. I am on her channel on Thursday. This is like the the best Tarot Stash World Tour. It's like completely awesome. Maruda is here. Hello. Pamela Batchelor is here. Hello. Kathy Tortoiseshell Moon. Iridescent Sea Designs. Hello. Hershey. And yes, Jeffrey Smith. French would be bonjour. But I don't speak French, so.
Ciao,
there we go.
Nor Italian.
There you go. So we're going to be talking specifically about 4 of the Clair Senses today, and hope it makes sense. And Lisa did confirm it is Italian, so this is helpful. So, what am I forgetting? Am I forgetting something?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna take a sip.
And a deep breath.
I think my lack of grounding is getting to Gerald, because usually you've got it so together in the beginnings.
And I'm so chill that it's like, whatever.
I'm the opposite end. Maybe you guys need to put me in the middle. Maybe if you put me in the middle, that'll settle me down. I am all a Twitter, completely Twitter pated about this conversation. So,
but that's good. It's high energy then.
It is high energy.
Very.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
And Beth is here, Aspasia Rising. So thank you.
I saw a lot of the same folks at Jonathan's earlier for the great chat on Jonathan's channel.
Yep. And
so
my
thanks
copy
for following.
my copy of the tarot deck should arrive on Monday. So Betsy, your audio is a little weird. What happens if you take them out and just go with the speaker? It worked before, Betsy.
Now, or do I need to click out and in?
No, you're good.
You're fine.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I try to do the beats because I end up being so loud on the audio on playback sometimes. It's like the other person's talking normally and I sound like I'm shouting. So if I could ever figure out how to turn my internal mic down.
Yeah, I think we have an echo. I'm not sure.
Do we have an echo?
I don't know.
Am I echoing? There's no telling.
I'm sorry.
No, we're good.
There's no.
We're good.
This is Calamityware, Calamityware.com, and this is a travel mug called "What's the Worst That Could Happen?" So, yeah, Calamityware is great.
And know your limits and purchase responsibly. So, okay. So let's talk about some of the Clairs. And Wiki is here. Hello.
Hi, Wiki.
Oh, and Beth said, loud is good for me. I raised 4 kids and had dogs. The louder, the better. So I completely get that. So,
well,
okay.
Somebody just go like this. If I start coming in too loud, somebody just, or in the chat, say modulate. So I know to bring the volume back down because I'm loud.
Do this.
There you go, please. Somebody. Well, and it could be on the other end, the people that are listening in, it may come across differently. So somebody just type in modulate.
Okay, so this is for entertainment purposes only, and y'all get that. Hershey's got to take Scarlet Lady out. And Miss Charlotte is here. Hello. So Betsy sounds 1.5 times louder. But how is that different?
That's what I was
That's a good thing, Betsy. It's all the pearls. You should send those pearls to me. There you go. And I'm wearing my base.
Oh, I do. Oh, you need to send me your address. I do have a strand of pearls for you. I do. And it'll be a surprise.
Okay. So let's start off with the first question that I have is what is a Clair sense and what's so special about it? And I want to put this one up here. And Clair, the word Clair means clear. So I'm going to look at Jaime and go, what's a Clair sense and what's so special about it?
You mean having?
What is it? Definition?
Or
yeah, what is it and what's so special about it?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily go with so special about it. I would say that if you're a little kid and you have all of these different Clairs and you don't understand them, they can make you feel like you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That's what I would say.
True.
Which was my circumstance in that I didn't understand all the things that were coming at me. And I was lucky enough that I didn't have a parent. I had one parent that was like, oh, good gravy. And another parent that was like, let's talk about this. Let's figure this out. Let's try and help your little mind understand what's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know that's not your
definition,
but
it's your definition. It makes sense. And Beth added, Clair in Latin means clear, bright, distinct.
Yeah.
So Betsy, what's a clear sense and what's so special about it?
Well, I did try to find a definition that worked for me. And the closest thing I got to an actual definition is that the Clair is the method that you receive psychic info. And
Okay.
what is so special about them is, and here's, again, the rabbit hole, the further I researched, the more overlap I got. So what's special about the Clairs is how ordinary that they are, because we all have, all of us, even the non-people that don't believe in anything to do with the metaphysical realm, every person that is awake and breathing and speaking can have at least one story about how they got a feeling or a sense or a knowing, some kind of something that told them to do this or not to do that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what makes them special is that we all have them, but we don't all accept it. And that is what the special is.
Gotcha.
That makes sense. Deb H says, it caused enough anxiety in me as a child that my cousins called me twitchy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I have to, I think a clear sense is, for me, it is all of the senses that are not in the 3D world. I can't see it. I can't actually hear the vibration on the physical level. I can't touch it. I can't taste it. I can't see it. And it's for all of those, what are those senses? Hearing, touch, the 5 senses. And it's, I believe, is what's so special about them for me. I believe we are all born with more senses than what we have as adults, because we're natural. We have not learned how to shut them off or to discount them. So Jeffrey said exactly right on, Betsy. So and okay, so I think I can go on to the next one. I'm like, which clear senses do you have? Betsy, is it easier to say which ones don't you have?
Yeah, I was going to start actually writing them down and saying them, and I was like, oh, forget it. Just all of them. And plus, lots of overlap.
Right.
Lots and lots of overlap. I think the one that presented first for me was probably sentience and cognizance. But what enabled me to share the information that I got was audience. And once I started getting clear reception on clairaudience, then things really took off for me psychically. And I'm still working on clairvoyance. I would love to have more pronounced clairvoyance, but I have limits on what I want to see. So there's the rub.
Gotcha.
That makes sense. Jonathan is here. Hello.
Hey, glad you made it.
Miss Charlotte said, it's so funny this coming up on today. This morning I heard a voice from a Chinese female very clearly, and for the first time, I think she said something like, it's not worth it. It was just waking up. And I think it's one of those things that the time between the liminal space between being awake and asleep is perfect, because our filters are different. Our filters are not activated. So what were you going to say, Jaime?
Nothing. My first that appeared was clairvoyance. So I went from I agree with Betsy, and we kind of talked about it beforehand, that all 4 of these flow together for all of us in bits and pieces. But some of you would know, some of you would not. But clairvoyance involves seeing colors and auras and things like that with people. And that's, I would agree with Betsy in that it's a tough one to start with if you are if that's how it happens or if that's what you develop, because you do know a lot. And it's for a child, the ability to have boundary and have respect, that when those colors show up and you know things that you know, that you don't just blurt shit out.
Yeah.
You know?
But also as a child, even just being able to articulate it and have that be accepted instead of being told it's your imagination.
Yeah.
Must
Well, my
be-
dad told me it
Yes.
was my imagination, but my mom did not.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah.
I think for me, the Clair Senses, that I think the first one that I had was Claircognizance, and then very clearly Clairsentience. I would, I could, it's like the Spidey sense. It's just like, ooh, okay, and I remember actually the Claircognizance as a child and saying things to my parents and my siblings about, oh, such and such is going to happen, and lo and behold, such and such happened. So,
well, it's funny because I thought about, all of this as a kid and just limiting myself to the 4. It was Clairsen-cog-odd. That's how it Clairsen-cog-odd.
I like that.
So that's how it rolls in my head still. So
Pamela, hang on. Pamela asked if gut intuition was a Clair. Yes, baby. Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a lot of that is clairsentience.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's looked at quite a bit. So thank you, Pamela. And intuition versus okay. When my defenses are down. Robin said, Toadstool Terra, blurt shit out. Did I hear somebody call my name?
Hi, Robin.
Hi, Robin. Good to see you. Glad to have you here. We conjured you. So, Kathy Tortoiseshell Moon said, I have claircognizance, have been aware of it since I was about 12, but only realized there was a name for it a couple of months ago. I didn't have any other I don't have any other clairs that I'm aware of.
Hold your beer.
Yes,
hold your
beer.
Here,
hold your beer. Donna is here, artist and oracles. I'm glad you're here. I had Clairaudience experience recently, prepping for my 50th high school reunion. I was fretting about the way I looked. My dear friend recently passed, was loud and clear. At least you're not dead.
No.
Well, that'll knock you. Take that. You look
my kind of friend right there.
I love that. That's the kind of friend I want to have around me, especially, talking to me.
It'll happen.
Yeah. Don't stifle it in children. My parents did. I'm 57 and now just reopening. Lisa, I'm glad you're reopening it.
Yeah, perfect timing. Perfect timing.
And perfect timing. It sort of reminds me of, a person that I know actually once said, you are gifted. Link in the description, right, Betsy? So, I was a pretty big kid before I realized everybody didn't have it or do it. I still blurt things out. And that's one of the things that I like about you, Deb H. And, I think it's one of those things. It's understanding. Wait a minute. Hang on. I'm getting ahead of myself. It's one of those things that when we understand that we have it and not everybody has it or uses it, it informs the way we can interact with them.
Sure.
So, because for me, with the idea of claircognizance or clairsentience, for me, I just walk. I just know shit is going to happen, and I'm writing stuff down in my notes, and people are like, "How'd you know that? Who told you that?" And I'm like, I just knew it. I just knew it. So it's one of those things. I was like Gerald as a kid, claircog first, then clairsentience. The others come and go as an adult. and has opened various spiritual paths. Yes. And Jonathan said, as a kid, pre-caller ID, I used to announce who was calling every time the phone rang, and I was always right. Yep. Your phone rang differently for each caller, and it only had one ringtone. And this is the interesting thing. Okay, and Shaw Woman said, I shut down my abilities about 21 years ago, but if I was relaxed enough, I could see spirits in my mind's eye, but only felt emotions, no audio, which bugged me.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
It's still interesting.
Clairvoyance, not such a bad thing, and yeah, not such a bad thing.
Yeah. And Robin said, I think I might have one with symbols. Symbol communication elements just jump right off the cards for me.
Oh.
And I think that's a really important thing. And Jaime, you said it very nicely early on. The Clair Senses overlap. And I would say one, if we have to label them, because sometimes we're human and we want to label things, we just go, oh, that's this. And it's because it's primarily that. Well, okay, it's this. Oh, Betsy's getting a download.
Well, I'm just wondering what's going on. It's my imagination, or did I just turn orange?
You turned orange.
You turned orange.
What the? I don't know what's going on right now.
You're
Now
back.
you just
Nope,
now you're orange again. You're Oompa Loompa.
Blame it on the storm, guys. We got 50-mile-an-hour winds here, so.
Yeah, we have the same winds here, man. That's great. It's and snow.
So, but my point is that they all interweave, and I think it is for people who they just have a knowing, they have an understanding, they get guidance in whatever kind, and these are okay. I'm just going to call it. This is a regular thing. This is normal. Some people frame it in the, I just had I just had a gut feeling about which thing to back on the stock market, and picking the right people. So
yeah,
okay, I'll stop.
It's good. So, and I did know that. So it's tough for me because I know I understand having definition and all of that stuff. That's why when you ask the question of, how would I define it? It's like, my brain doesn't work that way. And honestly, that, as simple as that question is, it's hard for me, right? Because the only one of the four that stand out to me because of the different things that come with it is clairvoyance. And that was the first and the most expansive, although, like I said, audience, cognizance, and sentience, it's all there for me. But clairvoyance has the, the precog, and the auras and the things like that. So yeah, for me, it's all one big thing, And
that can be confusing, right? That can be confusing.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think,
yes.
I think as we move along through Gerald's script, we will shed some.
No, and I realize that we kind of talked about it beforehand, and I get that. I'm just saying that, as just a plebe, it all runs together.
Well, and I think that's very important, and I want to normalize that. They all run together, and I think the more as adults we pay attention to it, notice it, and in ourselves and in each other, and support it in our in the young ones, I think that's really important. So, and Pamela Batchelor said, I had a dog who responded to creepy people by his hair standing on end. I only saw it twice, but I knew exactly what he was doing.
Oh yeah, I see that happen all the time, every day.
Oh yeah.
Cats will tell you. Somebody walks in your house, the cat will tell you. I had a cat once that somebody sat down in my living room. They walked up to them, sat down with their back to them, and just rumpled the fur on their back until I was like, okay, I get it. Enough.
Yeah. Okay, so clairvoyance, clear vision. Okay, no heavy lines between abilities, merely focus. That's true. I agree
Yes.
with you.
I agree.
And so clairvoyance, clear vision. I'm going to if I'm going to try to explain it or help people understand it. And Jaime, I know this is one of your strengths that I see. So as she can also move her bangs. It's clear seeing, or clear vision, and it could be things are presented to the third eye or the mind's eye. They could be mental flashes, pictures, scenes, places, objects, symbols, colors, aura, being able to see auras and colors. That's not something that I can do. But you do, Jaime?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And
And
anything...
sorry. It's just funny to me because I won't read anybody here, and I have no interest in doing that today. But and I don't do it in general. I usually shut that down, especially when we're in like sitting together like this, because I think it's intrusive and rude, right? But my best friend asked me one time what colors I saw, and I told her exactly what I saw, and she was not happy with the colors, and they were perfectly beautiful and wonderful, but they weren't and it's not like she puts any psychic value on color like I do, but she wasn't satisfied with the colors because the colors that she identified with were not the colors that I saw, and they made her unhappy. So you have to be really, really super cognizant of that. Right?
A friend and I used to joke that we were intimidated of people that could see colors because we thought they would tell us our auras were brown.
Oh, yeah. So, Jaime, you're basically the high priestess and know that shit, and you keep that shit to yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
So I do want to point out that Ms. Tarot D is here, drugged up and lurking in the background. I am glad to see you. Very glad to see you. Linda de Gonzalez said, I don't see anything, but I know stuff. And I can feel it when there's spirits around me. And they don't talk to me, but I can feel things and sometimes know things too.
Can I tell you a funny, though, which I find fascinating?
Yes.
So, Betsy and I were both talking about that, we know the things we know, and we understand where we fit within these categories and stuff. But we both did research, of course, which is what you do. Right? So you're well-rounded in your conversation and stuff. And so I was looking up a few things, and with clairvoyance being my thing, I thought it was funny that one of the things that they say is that you have an excellent sense of direction. And I wrote that down, and then I put ha 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 ha, because if there is one thing, I need my hashtag, if there is one thing I don't have, is a good fucking sense of direction. I will get lost in a dark room with X-ray vision. Okay. I go in a room, I come out, and I have to stand there for a second to figure out where's the exit. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and this is okay. So, Betsy, what would you like to say about clairvoyance before I go to some of the sub questions that I have?
Yeah, there's so much I could say just about colors alone. Wiki asked, do auras change color? Well, yeah. I mean, aren't we just a giant mood ring?
Absolutely.
I when I was in Sedona, I was working at a place that had Carillion photography, which I was always like, okay. So, but I had to learn how to do it because that was part of my job. Guess what? The thing worked. Guess what? The thing worked, because when I would sit down with the client to go through the interpretation of their report, and all the psychic information I got that came through was all just, I mean, it totally worked. Yeah. But I personally believe that auras are fluid, just like spirit guides, I believe, are fluid. You don't necessarily have one color or one guide.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Sorry, Betsy, is it okay if I use you as an example?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. So I'm not going to read Betsy, but I will tell you that Betsy gets all of this amazing information and and I'm going to use the expression creatures, okay? Because it's not specific to one thing. So she gets all this creature activity. So Betsy has her basic bitch aura, right? What's her thing. But then when she gets going and stuff starts coming at her, she goes pow, 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 pow. And it's no longer just hers, right? It's the conglomeration thereof. And it's pretty spectacular. So that's why I will tell you, take you back about 6-8 months ago or so, maybe longer. I think you were with Jonathan and you were kind of downplaying what you do. And I was like, keyboard warrior, no way, man. Because of everything that happens around you when you are clicking and in your zone, it's fucking fantastic.
Well,
and it's so much fun, isn't it? Oh, it's so much fun. Yeah.
And I want to add to that is the idea of, is do auras change colors? Of course they do, because we change.
Right.
Some days we have enough hydration and we're functioning well and we feel good.
Mm-hmm.
The energy adjusts to that. It's like like when I'm and the fact that your friend was not happy with the colors that you saw, but there was no way you could convince her. Was it a her?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that you could convince her. No, those are perfect colors for you, because if I saw those colors that you wanted to see in you, they would feel incorrect. They would not be
yellows
right.
And golds, and they were gorgeous.
Yeah. So
least favorite color for
yellows and golds.
Yeah.
Yellows and golds are good.
Winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay.
Wait, is the weed whacker in the background coming through? Somebody just started a weed whacker across the street.
It's coming through, but it's okay. It's okay.
We can ignore it.
Yeah.
I can close the door and make. Oh no!
Wow. So much for ignoring.
Yeah, I was like, ooh. Linda said, I don't see anything, but I know stuff. Okay, I have that marked so that we can reference it later. A lot of love from Ms. Tarot D. Linda de Gonzalez feels it too. And that's something that is a question that I have is clairvoyance. Is there a physical response that you have to this clairvoyance? Jaime?
Go ahead, Betsy.
Okay, for me, my clairvoyance is most often in my mind's eye, and I don't necessarily feel something in my body. For me, clairvoyance is more of an intellectual thing, and that was something that I actually even have in my notes about it. For me, clairvoyance and even clairaudience to a certain extent is an intellectual thing. It stays up here. It doesn't necessarily go down here for me.
Interesting. Okay. Because like my precog stuff, I see that in I see what's going to happen, but it's in kind of like a watercolor wash. And I think that's because it's my whole connection to color, but I'm going to have to think about that, because that's an interesting thing that you say, Betsy, because it is up here, but it does move sort of. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that. Thank you very much.
Well, so what happens for me is if it comes in audient or voyant, but then this happened in a chat when somebody was asking about how the husband's surgery going to go. It was not a big deal surgery. And so I got that, but then sensations moved into my body that told me more information. So sometimes if it's just that simple message and it comes in here intellectually, and I can deliver the message, but if there's more to it that maybe was a question that had not been asked, but it was relevant, oftentimes then it will come like sometimes somebody will push on the back of my shoulder, and it depends which side. Or like when we were on with Chris last time, Gerald, and there was somebody that was pushing in on his boundaries, and I got an ice pick behind my eye.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the overlap.
Yeah. I mean, by the way, Kelly Dozen Cats Wellness is here. She just got a new dog, which I believe his name is Rose, I believe. But Kelly and Ivana are going to be on my channel on Monday. We're doing 5 repeats. So don't forget that. Well, and one of the things for me is I will get clairvoyance, but it has to go through claircognizance and clairsentience before it starts to show up as clairvoyance.
Interesting.
And sometimes if I think I just said it, if I think that that's what's going on, then that clairvoyance will go away because I'm thinking about it. So anyhow, okay. I'm going to take a sip. Everybody hydrate.
I just did. Sorry.
It's okay. There's been so many really good compliments. So, and so many good comments, and I have missed them. So yeah, I just know things. Hypnus City said earlier that one of those photographs was what the photography found the aneurysm. So glad you paid attention.
Yeah.
So wow. Okay. So yes, Rose. Okay. How do you develop your clairvoyance?
So this is one of the ones, this is something that we talked about at the beginning for me, that overflows into all of them. But for this one particularly is visualization and meditation. Just sitting in it, I guess. And a lot of it is, for me, is being quiet and meditation. And focus, kind of like Jeffrey Smith said, focus.
And I would also say that practice is always going to help.
Sure.
And suspension of disbelief is going to help.
Sure.
Because that way, I just saw a unicorn pop into my mind. Okay, is that really a unicorn? Is that just my mind? Well, it is a unicorn that is in your mind, and now you have to figure out, now you get to figure out what that means for you in your language of clairvoyance.
Yeah, and I didn't approach any of this as that it's not believable or that it doesn't happen. I didn't even look at it from that, because that's not my experience, right? So I just looked at it of this is what we're talking about. This is what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's a question from Miss Charlotte. What is the difference between imagining and receiving the information?
Yeah.
It's my show. Do you want me to take it? I'll take the fall for it.
No, take it and then see if I can add to it or if Betsy can.
To be honest with you, I don't think there is a difference. The difference is, what do you do with the information?
That is correct.
Do you believe it? Do you trust it? Do you do something with it? Or do you dismiss it? Or do you play with it a while and then it just sort of fades? It's like, I think they're all, I think they're very closely related, if not the same thing. We just look at them differently. Ooh, goddess approved. All right. Jaime and Betsy approved. Woohoo! Okay.
So what do you do, Betsy?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, Jaime and I, we were talking about this ahead with Gerald, and we did have some overlap. sitting in stillness, yes. But, it depends on which Clair you're focusing on. Clairaudience for me, automatic writing and journaling is great. And I tell people all the time, just get the paper and the pencil. This is demonstrating your willingness to participate with your spiritual team. And you can ask a question, or you can ask, is there something I should know right now? Or is there something I need to know right now? And it doesn't matter what the response is. My standard line, they could say, sweet potato, brake shoes, squirrel nutkin. Just write it down. Don't ask. You're just demonstrating your willingness to participate. Don't worry about it. It all makes sense in the end.
And I mean, yes. And I think what I'm going to do is because these follow-up questions are so much overlap, I'm just going to, let's talk about all the Clairs, and then we'll do all of the follow-up questions together. And then we could slot them in.
Yep.
Robin said, I used to wonder about that when doing shamanic journeying. Was I seeing or imagining creative visualization? And Deb H, Purple Elephant Deb H said, yes, Dumbledore, of course it's all in your head. That doesn't mean it's not real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Betsy does have a channel. It is linked below. And she's on my channel a lot. The fourth or third Thursday. Fourth Thursday, you're with Jonathan Daly.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So, clairaudience. Let's talk about clairaudience. It is
definitely a strong one for me.
Yeah. Okay. What's your definition?
Clear hearing. Mm-hmm. Hearing information either in your mind's ear or from around you. It can be any of that, either of that, or more of that. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, so this is where the chakra card comes in handy, because there are two of these that I associate that way, and I don't know if I'm going to be going too far ahead. So with this one, it's concentrating on the throat. Yeah, and then the crystals that I concentrate on are right here. So this is a piece of lapis that I have. Mm-hmm. This is a lovely little blue orb, which for whatever reason escapes me the kind. It doesn't matter. This is my little, which it will not show up on camera, but it looks like there is a dandelion stuck in it, and it's a piece of chalcedony, or no, Larimar. Do you want me to just go through my thing that I like blurted on a piece of paper because it's that whole writing thing?
Yes. Would you like to be enlarged, embiggened?
No.
She's like, hell no.
So for me, there are a lot of different things, but I can hear my name being called, or the sound of someone saying, open up, listen up. I'm super sensitive to noise, which also goes into the sentience, but I concentrate on the throat chakra, and I concentrate on those crystals, usually holding them, focusing on them, whatever. But again, it's that whole meditation, visualization, and just really, it sounds strange. I'm doing this, concentrating on this. I can't explain it any other way.
Okay. Is it a physical feeling of something coming to you, or? Okay.
No.
All right. Okay.
You know how you get excited?
I think that's what we call the moment of expanded awareness.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
She's
Very
brilliant.
nice.
I kind of like her.
Yeah, I do too. Betsy, are you grounded, Betsy?
And I'm still being assaulted by the landscapers. It just never fails.
Mm-hmm. And Jonathan, no, that's not what it is. It'll come to me, I hope.
Well, and I think, I mean, and sometimes clairaudience is, it can be like a radio. For those of you who remember radios, you'd have to tune in depending upon which level you were going. So that's something to keep in mind. So,
and I have heard a lot of folks that are just starting to wake up talk about kind of in the in-between state at sleep time. It off in the distance they can hear voices and it sounds like a cocktail party or something. And they're always like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, it's a cocktail party.
Right.
Yeah, Robin has said the timing of the noise seems relevant.
You know, if you could see where I lived, you would tell me never to move, but this happens so regularly. It's really interesting.
So let's talk about claircognizance, clear knowing. And this is that you just know something is going to happen. And sometimes I've heard it also described as deja vu. Oh, I've done this before, or this is going to happen, and I get that. So it's just really it's that clear knowing.
Yeah, I honestly I didn't write anything about this, which is funny. It's just I said you just know what you know, and the one thing that I do is ramble writing, or as Betsy calls it, automatic writing, where I just know what I know, and sometimes if my brain is totally blank, which is actually not blank because it's receiving, and I just let the pen go, when it stops and I go back and read it, I'm kind of blown away. So
yeah, channeled writing, journaling. Ms. Taro D asked a question. So when spirit speaks to us, is that clairaudience, or is that or is clairaudience such something so much more and bigger? I think it's clairaudience, and yes, it can be all of those. Go ahead, Betsy.
Yeah, I think it can be all of those, and I don't think for me, I've kind of given up trying to have as much answers as just accepting what is. That I see myself as a conduit and a means of expression for other much wiser beings that need to have information shared. So the fact that it comes through my mind's ear as words I understand and can pass along to someone else, that to me, again, it's just the method of the delivery of the information.
Yeah, and Ms. Taro D said, spirit gives me words to say, and if I don't say them, he flicks my ear. I mean, yes, and there have been times when I go, and I've said, I don't know why I'm saying this, but blah. It's exactly what the person needs to hear. I have learned in my practice, so my development is not to say, I don't know why I'm saying this. I edit that out and I just say, here you go. And Lisa Rhodes says, I will get hits and say and feels like I must share. Yeah.
I like to call them downloads. Somebody pointed this out to me, that the word hits has a connotation of violence. So I had to replace that word in my language.
Yeah.
Or I get information, or just, because I used to say that a lot, and somebody said, well, wait, what? Why?
Right.
Yeah, and I have said downloads probably for a lot of when I've been doing readings, because I don't know what's going on, but something's going on, and I have to sort through it and translate it sometimes. So.
And I find if I want to say, oh, this just hit me, I will say, oh, this just occurred to me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so anything else either of you want to add about Claire knowing, Claire cognizant?
Remember, people will try and talk you out of this. People will try and talk you out of this because when you know what you know and you cannot really articulate how or why you know it. Oh, I'm glad that was helpful. I think many of us were taught to not hold on to ourselves, to acquiesce to someone else and give away our power to someone else. So when you know what you know, you can choose to share it or not. If you feel like sharing it will be met with resistance and get you into a dynamic like that about power struggle or gaslighting or whatever you want to call it, you don't have to share everything you get. It's okay to keep some things to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and to be honest, I mean, Betsy, I'm glad you've said that because part of my agreement for being a reader and a spiritual person in this three-dimensional plane is I will deliver messages as I have the opportunity to. However, I have boundaries, and just because I'm not going to say that to them. You need to figure out a way to say it where, no, I'm not going to deliver that message. You do it, get somebody else to do it, do something else.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think any spiritual guide is going to respond well to that.
Yeah.
Okay, you've set some boundaries. So, there was a Jay.
There's so much good stuff in the chat.
I know. This is Jay. Hello. Good
Hi,
to see
Jay.
you, Jay. And Jeffrey Smith asked Gerald, "Do you ever get large downloads?" Yes.
I was going to
Yes, I
say,
do.
yes, he does.
And I think Jaime has actually watched me get those downloads.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, Betsy, do you get large downloads too?
Mine tend to come in bite-sized snippets, but have an enormous impact on me. So, and I wouldn't describe it as like boing as much as it feels like a warm wave. I always used to get so envious of people that had breakthroughs and they were this person, the next minute they were a different person. And I was always envious of that until I recognized the way my information was coming through was much more subtle. So I call it a warm wave more than, so it's like bite-sized snippets, but carries a lot of impact.
And for me, do you remember when you had to files were downloaded, they needed to be unzipped before you could access them? That's what it was. That's what it's like for me. I get a lot of information, and what's interesting is I can, sometimes it's like, no, it's there. It'll be accessed later. But, and sure enough, it is. So anyhow. So, okay,
when you know it's in there, but you can't articulate it yet, you can't call it up, you're not able to share that, it just,
And so long as it does me no harm, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Like knowing what's in our gut and decide what to share. Yes. Okay.
Oh, wait, Lisa Rhodes, how do you separate if you get too much? Lisa, talk to your guides. This is you're a volunteer, and you get to set the terms. So just actually sit down and write up a contract. I'm available at these times on these days for X amount of minutes, and you need to have one representative speaking slowly and clearly in a language I can understand, or showing me pictures and images that I have experience with and can interpret. You get to set the stage on this one. You tell them what you need to receive the information. Because, who knows who's trying to talk to you and what's their language, what's their method. So you just got to make sure they know how you can understand them.
Yes. Yeah. And Pamela has been having some spelling check messes. So
Good, Mother.
I acknowledge you. Leora Black said, just because you know something doesn't mean you've got to say it. Timing and saying it the right way is crucial. And it might not be you who has to say it. Fascinating. Yeah, I mean, so you need to do a segment on ethics. And yeah, in one of my support groups, someone shared what Spirit told them without asking me. Oh, God. If I wanted to hear it, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Boundaries.
There's always an ask. So one of the things that I will use you as an example, Gerald. Gerald will get some kind of a smack of a download that goes zoosh, and he'll send to me a text and say, are you open to hearing this? Or is this a possibility? Or there have been any number of variants of
Variations,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, if it's coming from Gerald, I don't ever say no, but I take on the understanding that he might just be zotting me right in the forehead. We'll go with forehead.
Yeah. I'm writing this down, boundaries and ethics.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and if I'm
did
ever
boundaries, we just did boundaries not too long ago.
Yeah,
When
and
did
if
we
I'm
do-
ever in a chat
Yes.
and I've asked Betsy to read for me, I am aware that I might get more than I bargained for. And sometimes she will say, okay, this is kind of, do you want me to go ahead? And sometimes it's a no, because her shit's big. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that yours isn't, Gerald.
Oh,
It's just
no, I mean-
different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like that at cocktail parties too. I can't do small talk. I don't understand it.
I don't either. I want the
Okay.
big questions, you know?
Yes. Clairsentience-clear, intuitive feeling and sensing, oftentimes referred to as your gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And and I actually think, and is it just me or I feel like kids are people are talking to kids a little bit more and saying things like, what do you think about that, or what's your gut telling you? And that's a nice way to encourage that. So
Reading a room, when you walk into a room and you
yep.
pick up the energy right away, or reading people when someone approaches you or you step into a space and there's one person, however many persons, one person in particular. Yeah. What are you learning? What are you receiving just by entering that space?
Yeah, I have to be really wise. For situations that have lots of people, or depending on what the situation is, as to whether, like, so I'll give you the extreme. Okay, so like axe throwing. Okay, it's a thing, or a wedding, or walking into a bar, which I don't do, but there are things that come with those. Shut up. There are things that come with those that I have to actually prepare myself for.
Yep.
And understand that there is, and I will use your word, there is that download of violence, right? And emotion that comes from people when they're doing those things. Or a wedding, there's all kinds of things. I mean, I went to a wedding once and I knew that this was going to be a bad thing for the bride, a bad thing, because she had turned off her clairsentience, and that was a shame. I'll just leave it there. So I have to be prepared when I go places, even when I go to work, because we deal with a lot of death. I mean, last week was a butt ton of death. And I have to be able to, in my position, I have to be able to disseminate, clear it out, and help the people around me deal with that. You know what I mean? So I'm super sensitive. If I am over the top sensitive, I have to realize that there are some places I cannot go.
Yes.
I should say I cannot. I was talking to my best friend about this and the word cannot, you can't. It's not that I can't. I choose not to put myself into that situation because I have good boundaries. I have strong shields. I can push energy away. There are just some days where it's like, I don't want to fucking deal with that.
Yes.
Not going to see me at the movies on the weekend.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so small talk is not a good thing. Lisa said, I write down or type an answer to my two questions. If I can write it down fast enough, I ask the voice to slow down. The voice sounds distant to me, but clear. That's a prime example of working with what you have. And I think it's a great idea. I think it was something that you and I talked about, Betsy. It's like, this is an agreement, and it's like, okay, we have to. For me, sometimes my downloads are not in a language that I can speak clearly. So I have to, and sometimes there are a lot of messages and a lot of things that would like to speak through me. And I will say, you can pick one person to be one of you to be the spokesperson, and I need to be able to understand the language. You talk amongst yourselves, figure it out, and then we'll talk. Yeah. And once that works, I mean, it works really well. And okay, so I want to get caught up in chat because so many of you are putting amazing things in here. Donna, Artist and Oracle, said, I hear all kinds of people using the word vibes these days. Great, so long as they're good vibes.
So long as it's not at the bar.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. No, but I think that is a word that is becoming part of popular culture, and right now it's sort of swinging the other direction for me, but I get what you're saying and I agree with you. And
I'm waiting to see if you catch Robin's question, but go ahead.
I will get there. Yeah, Wiki said, I always thought I was just paying attention and observing.
Sure.
Yes, that's exactly what you're doing. You're using all of your senses. Is it asking the cards for a message?
No.
7 Wands, defensiveness, wrestles with judgment, both bracket Ace of Wands. It's about how you grab hold of the creative connection. Defense and judging equally defeating. Yeah. Especially when you work with Jaime. Are you a death doula?
No, I am not. My best friend would be.
Yes.
I don't deal out. No.
Yeah. Well, and here, Don, and Deb H asked, knowing when to reel in your own energy or when to make your energy bigger is a part of boundary setting. It's about shielding, because a great way to shield, hashtag, Magic Tool Talk, see the other one, is part of the best way to clean stuff out is to get really big so nothing negative can stay in there. It's like pushing all of the pins in a pin cushion out from the inside out, pushing them so far they fall off of that pin cushion. How's that for a visual? Oh, and what I hear is always on the left side. I say pay attention to the direction of that. Same here, Jaime. There are places I best not go either. It took me many years to go, and I think it's important that when you know that and you articulate it, surround yourself with people who say, okay, we won't do that.
Yeah.
I have one main guide who represents my team and the main family member to represent my ancestors. Yes. We feel frequencies. Yes. Warrior Girl is here. Hello. Do you guys think that sometimes a lot of spirits attempt to communicate with us at the same time because there's too many of you who are trying to help? The short answer is yes.
I've watched it happen all over Betsy's face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm curious. Do we need to revisit Robin's question, Jamie?
I mean,
Or is it so now we've moved on?
no,
death
I mean,
doula?
Oh, was that it? The death doula? Was that the question?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, we moved on. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so beautiful, beautiful conversation going on in the chat. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Hmm.
And you know, interesting, Lisa. I would agree with you. And when
Yeah.
and Lisa, what I will sometimes say is I'll actually say to the person for which I'm reading, there are so many ancestors guides that want to communicate with you. They're around. You need to start communicating with them. Take me out. I'm the middle person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not needed. You do you. So, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and Jonathan talking about crowds. Remember when it was so much fun to go to music festivals and those big crowds and the mosh pits and the crowd surfing and all that stuff? Man, it was great to be in the 1980s, to be in your 20s. That was cool. But nowadays, I'd rather go to the dentist.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about these 4 different senses, and we are just over an hour. And I want to see. I'd like to know if there are physical responses to each sense, how we can develop these senses, and how might you use these senses in your magic or spiritual practices. So, you're welcome, Lisa.
Yeah,
I feel like I
the-
should be turning off my light and turning it on to make Betsy feel better.
I know. I'm orange again.
Well, aren't you just beautiful?
Orange, yeah. Yeah. That's my second chakra talking to y'all.
There you go.
Feeling is obvious.
Yeah, I don't I can't answer the magic thing. Because
do you want me to talk about that?
Sure, because I practice totally differently, but go ahead.
Okay. This is a book, Matt Arrin, Psychic Witch, #purchase responsibly, know your limits. This is a great little book because it is set up with exercises for you to develop an understanding of different practices. And you know, here are my tags. These are the Clair activities that are around. And think about it is when you are looking at clairvoyance, which is you know, being able to see something on the screen of your mind. If you are, think about the journeying, because your clairvoyance could be very helpful if you can clearly see the environment around you. That is very helpful. If you can clearly hear the environment and what's going on. So those are things to where anytime you can add all of your senses into your spiritual practice, the more potent it becomes. And I said it that way specifically. It's like cook a meal, and you are enjoying the fact that you're cooking, you're tasting, you're smelling, you're hearing the food prepare. But then you add those other layers, it just makes it even more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I think for me, the when I read the question, you know, about magic practice, and I think you both know this about me, that I don't have a separate thing. It's always with me, always going, always in everything I do. So that's why I couldn't answer it in the way.
But you just answered it in the perfect way, because your practice is your everyday.
Right.
It is so woven in.
Right.
So, and
right.
Kudos if we all had that ability. Betsy, what about you? How do you use this in your in your practices?
So yeah, this is kind of interesting for me. When I'm practicing magic, for me, that comes down to, it distills down to setting my intentions, because I don't follow any particular magical path. I don't belong to any groups. I've never been taught or received any kind of formal instruction on it. So for me, magic comes down to setting intentions for the things that I want to call into my world. So oddly enough, when I do those things, I really steel up my boundaries. I get connected to Mother Earth, and I don't necessarily connect to the sky, to Father Sky or the universe, because I don't want to invite other beings in that space in that moment. I want my space to be very clear and contained with my intention, and I don't want something else coming in and adding into it, because that to me is, that can be kind of a crapshoot. Much like sitting at a bar and getting really drunk, and who's going to attach to you to take home, kind of thing. Not exactly, but kind of.
It's exactly like that, really.
So for me, I call up my connection to the earth, and I do feel it in my body. I do have the knowing. I do have clairsentience-clear, claircognizance going on when I do that, because I know what I want, and I know how I want the outcome to feel. So that's how I practice it in magic, and it may not be that clear. I don't know. Somebody can always message me and ask me to help be more clear if they need it.
I thought it was, it made sense to me. Yeah, I thought it made sense to me. Now, I will say there's times in my magical practice when I'm actually working on, when I'm doing a working and I've set my intention to where I just know that I need to do this instead of that. Or I need, this crystal needs to be there. I don't know why, but I'm bringing this crystal into the circle with me. And lo and behold, it's the perfect thing that happens.
Which is the interesting thing, Gerald, about you and what you do, especially like when there's been a text of, it's very interesting because for me anyway, I can feel the where it's gone from one piece to the next piece to the next piece. There's a, I can't, all I hear is that da 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 da, because, but it's palpable. How's that?
Yes, that makes sense.
I'm going to chalk that one up to claircognizance, guys. You know what you know.
Yeah, it's the rhythm. And I would also say this is a fine example of us incorporating, and I'm going to use the word embracing these as part of who we are and our gifts. It really strengthens them and allows them to support each other. Because I actually think if, I said I am, claircognizant, clairsentient, and, maybe clairvoyant and clairaudient, maybe. If you were to take one of those out of the mix, I would not, it would be like removing some of the tools in my toolbox.
Right.
I would still have wrenches, but they would be metric and not, the ones that I need.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was, and Lisa Rhodes says the rhythm like music. I use music in everything. There you go. And I would imagine, I would say clairaudience is hearing the music in the world around you, because sometimes when I'll stop. You get it.
the notes, the beat, the rhythm of music, it comes down to math, and math doesn't lie. The universe is built around math. So yeah, just a big old giant web through everything, right?
The web of
You heard it
weird.
here first. Science is real. Math is real.
And you know, I wanted to throw something else in here about just
Please.
developing the senses in general is, you know, the reason these live chats are so enriching is because when we join together, 1 + 1 = 4, right? Our energies just really multiply on top of each other. So even if you've been in this for a while, I would tell folks never to hesitate to join a class or a workshop. Just because if you're working on something, say you know, clairvoyance is the easy one. You can find stuff on that pretty much everywhere. Everybody's used to that word. They're familiar with it. If you're working on trying to improve your clear vision and you already are there part of the time, you just want more, join a group, because just marinating in that energy will help propel you to the next, or has a potential to help propel you to the next platform. So I would never tell anybody they're too far advanced to join a group or a class or a workshop. Just do it. And finding a mentor, man, ask the universe to send you a mentor.
Yeah, I feel like that when you get to the point that you think you know it, that's when you probably should put the brakes on and think real hard about that, because that means you're dead. You know, because I've been doing this a long, long time, but I've learned some wonderful things here from the two of you, and even in doing the research, it's like, oh, that's interesting. And I wrote notes, you know. I think it's all fascinating, and there's always something to learn or glean or go, oh wow.
And I would even say, back to what you both were just saying, is I can join a group, but it doesn't mean that I've made a lifelong commitment to that group. Part of the learning is as I go into a group and I go, okay, I'm going to back away from that. That's not for me. Because sometimes knowing what you want is understanding what you don't want.
Sure. Well, it's like, you know, the statement posed there. How do you find a safe group or mentor?
Yes, thank you.
A lot of discernment. That's for dang sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will say there are charlatans, and I've shared the story with Gerald many times, and I won't say her name because internet, but I was 14 and she claimed to channel and all kinds of things. And this kid looked at her mother and said, no. So, I mean, you know, word of mouth. I mean,
for me, finding a safe group or a mentor comes down to small things, right? If you're following somebody famous, right, and for internet, just say someone who does workshops all around the world and it's $10,000 per person for a week and blah, blah, blah. Right. Well, that person may have started out where we are right here today, but once you have that many employees and you're globetrotting and you're putting on events that big, you are now responsible for all these people paychecks, which means you had got to provide content. Go to your local bookstores, go, you know, some non-denominational spiritual places. There's a lot of places that hold classes on things. Go small. That's what I say. I myself connect better in those situations.
Great. Absolutely.
And I would also, you know, yes, you can, because we're free.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe, and you're totally worth it. But I think, you know, I also think that, you know, Betsy, you had mentioned this, is if you want help, you can ask Spirit, Divine, God, Goddess, whomever, you know, I'd like some support. But then if you ask, you have to be open to what you're hearing.
Right.
And you know, my friend Margaret, she love her. She says, yeah, you know, she does a lot of healing work, and one of the things that she does, you know, people connecting. And she says, you got that anything near Seattle?
Yeah, go to Stargazer. Talk to the lady that owns Stargazer. She is
my sister's in Seattle. Yeah.
There's a beautiful lady that owns Stargazer, and there are a ton of people that are connected there that are lovely. I can vouch for the lady that owns Stargazer.
I'm gonna write that down and send that to my sister.
Stargazer.
Yeah.
Yep. And by the way, I just saw Blue Crescent Tarot Deanne pop in.
Hi, Deanne. Saw her pop in. Yep. Howdy.
And I think okay. Could I ask a question to you all? What do you all think tarot practice is? Do you see it as a few clairs together? Love this conversation. I think, well, go ahead, Betsy. You first.
Oh, okay. I think there's no limitations on that. I think someone can interpret cards that considers themselves 100% not a psychic, and then I think there's folks like us doing it. I think there is no limitations on what it is. The cards can still tell the story themselves without somebody reading it. You could throw them on the floor, and it could be a perfect reading for you. And you don't need you could have a little child point at it that doesn't know nothing about cards and tell a story, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, it's my world. Yeah, and no limits.
And I would say it's when the person who's reading or who's receiving the reading is really open to it, and they are authentic, and they're truly who they are, then that's a really powerful reading. And it maybe sometimes that's one clair, maybe it's 16 clairs, maybe it's no clairs. I think it works. It's all about language and communication through energy transfer. Thank you, Jaime. You got a beautifully said there, Betsy.
And yeah, it's Bellevue on Northrop, but that's why I put the link.
So. Is that where you are, Jaime?
No, I used to live there.
Oh, okay. I guess I thought for some reason or other, I thought you were in the middle somewhere.
I'm in Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon. I'm about 10 hours from there. But yeah, no, my cousin is from there. And when he was in the process of actively dying and things like that, Stephen and I took a sabbatical and we were up there.
So I hope that was clear. I mean, when we're in tune with what's going on for ourselves and the universe, great readings. For me, that's for me. For entertainment purposes only, this is just what Gerald. When I'm linked up and I'm feeling connected, the readings work. When I'm not feeling connected, when I'm not feeling clear, when I'm not grounded, I'm like, it's bizarre. It's just not well.
Yeah, so. I'm gonna answer. So you're in Linwood, and I was just down the road in Bothell, so I know where yeah, it's just a jump down the road.
So there are other clairs, because we only talked about 4. There's Clair empathy, Clair emotion. There's also Clair gustance, Clair taste.
Memories in the mouth. Sorry.
Clairalience, which is Clair smell, which is really important when you're doing practice and you're visualizing going somewhere. If you can smell the forest around you, the earth beneath your feet, those sorts of things. And then clairtangency, that's the actual feeling. If you're doing a visualization, if you can feel the flowers under your fingers, the grass under your on the ball of your feet, the sand, the water rushing, those are really powerful. So
for me, the only time I get the smell is if there's a ghost in the room that needs my attention. They'll send me a smell of whatever. But the touching thing, I didn't know that was a thing, because with people who are closed off emotionally, I would make them put put their hands on top of mine, their palms down on top of mine, and I could read them through that. I don't think that's especially the best way to go, FYI. It can be a little energetically expensive. But yeah, for somebody that's really closed off, I could do that and they could try and be closed. But so that for me was a new awareness. I didn't know that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Purple Elephant Deb H said, okay, what is it when you can taste what you step on? A very unfortunate ability I have.
I love that.
Some people can taste colors.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah.
taste sounds.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Hershey, you're not the only one.
No, you're not.
There are a lot of people who can smell death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Purple Elephant Deb H said, I don't love it. I can see why not.
Mm-hmm.
Synesthesia, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Synesthesia, yes.
Okay. What other information would the two of you like to share about this amazing topic? I mean, this has been great. And people who have made it all the way through and you're watching the playback, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So look at Betsy. She's like,
I know.
Oh, okay. So let's just step back. How does one recognize their clairs? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Review episodes in your life of things that happened that may have taken you by surprise and dissect it a little bit. Write a story about it, write a little paragraph or something like, there was this one time I was supposed to go pick somebody up and for some reason or other, I'm always on time, but I just couldn't make myself get in the car. I waited an extra 10 minutes. And sure enough, when I got up to this intersection, there was a wreck. Start telling those stories to yourself. Start reviewing them.
That's important. Yeah.
Start reviewing them and believe it, right? Believe it. Suspend, like Gerald said, suspend disbelief for just a wee bit and say, okay, this is probably all BS. I'm just making it up. But what if I'm not? But what if I didn't make it up? What else has happened that's been like that was just my imagination? But maybe, what if it wasn't? And just play with it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So I would want to know, Tortoiseshell Moon, so I would want to know what, if you can think about it or sit with it,
Yeah,
what is that smell connected to?
Somebody's trying to get your attention, yeah?
Yeah, a whom or a what or a something so that you're going to recognize them, that, whatever. That would be something that I personally, and I'm not saying that you do this, but that is something that I personally would sit in heavy meditation, quiet, vision, whatever, staring into something to figure that out, because that would intrigue the hell out of me. I smell my mom's perfume. Well, I know I get the touch on the shoulder and the smell, and she only wore Chanel No. 5. And I know she's here. When Marcus, one of my dogs, was alive, I knew she was here because he would stand in the kitchen, which was her favorite place, and he would look up and he would wag his tail. So, yeah, I would quest that one out.
I can see somebody, I can see them tending to their African violets. That was a thing. Some people in cold climates that had this ability to propagate African violets. That was a big thing along, like early 1900s, maybe even mid-century. It was a big thing. I'm seeing purple and yellow. Yeah, I'm seeing somebody growing them. What ancestor had an affinity for violets or wore violet water, cologne? It's just somebody trying to get your attention. They want to commune.
Yeah, I think that's rad. I really do.
And Jeffrey said olfactory perception is communication. Many times spirits communicate using that, and it is what it is, and it's, you have to develop your, I am learning to develop my own language with it. When I smell this is what this means. And sometimes going, what are you trying to tell me? I don't get that. What's that smell? What does that mean?
Yeah, and that leads me to sometimes the disclaimers that we give, Gerald, especially when it's the back and forth. And sometimes you do it in these, but just because it's my experience or I say something a certain way or I think you should or something like that, in no way, shape, or form am I telling someone what to do, putting them down or saying, any kind of limiting language. It only pertains to me and my experience, and I'm not trying to put that off on someone else. So let's just be clear about that.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's, you do what gives you power.
Correct.
And you've got to figure out what gives you power, because Betsy, you talk about being gifted, and when we shift this I'm weird to I'm gifted, it suddenly turns up the volume and goes, I am all that, damn it. And I'm okay with that, and you can handle it. And if you can't, shame on you. Jamie's like,
it's a running hat with flamingos on it.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go. A running hat. Yeah. And I think find your joy and find your language, because I would imagine, and by the way, it is possible to ignore these clairs to a certain point. And I think that's something to pay attention to. Yeah, let your freak flag fly.
I just remembered something we talked about earlier in this, and Jaime was talking about it with her throat chakra. I found a mention somewhere. Someone was of the opinion that doing work on your chakras to make sure everything is spinning and fluffy and marvelous and equal will help could be part of your path of helping your clairs. That having stuff blocked and congested at one place may prevent others from talking to you. So somebody must have needed to hear that, because I kind of forgot all about it and it just popped into my head. So and that's a great way. We're talking about sitting in stillness. Pop on a guided meditation about balancing the chakras and just let her rip, enjoy, and just play with it.
Yeah.
And definitely, and I think there's a lot of information on the internet about this. There's a lot of information in books about it. Check your resources, read the resources, and find out what makes sense to you, what jives with you, and also what doesn't jive with you, because that's part of the learning. And anytime, I don't know, back in the day when I was in college and in high school and I had to write papers, we had to go find credible resources. And
you had to make your own lead, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I had to
grain the ink.
Yes. I was doing the ink. I was walking uphill both ways in the snow, sharing a shoe with my older sister while carrying my stone tablets on my back. But seriously, that's one of those things that I think you do you. I mean, and do the work. And sometimes, do the work and then stop doing the work. Because if it's me, suddenly, I don't know about you all, but when I get a lot of information, I have to take a nap so my brain can sort it out. And then I wake up and I'm like, okay, it makes all sense now. But that's how I operate. Some people need to write it down. Some people need to eat. They need to run. They need to dance. They need to beat a drum. They need to, do that.
Dirt, ocean, lake, shower.
You heard it here first.
Love
that. Well, thank you, everybody. What are we going to do next?
The participation was amazing.
I know. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This was lovely.
This really, really was lovely. And I have 12 things commented, 12 things that are highlighted that we haven't gotten to. And I think I think, you know, you find what works for you. And by the way, what works for you today may not work for you tomorrow. Just keep showing up.
Sometimes it's just a walk, you know. So we're talking about, you know, the violets and, you know, maybe meditation or something. Sometimes it's a walk, you know. Sometimes it's sitting in the sun, or, you know, I don't know. It's all kinds of things that can when it's quiet, you know, or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no such thing as weird.
Yes,
Oh,
you're not crazy. You're not crazy. You're gifted.
You're gifted, everybody.
No, I'm referring to something I got earlier that is my Valentine card from a certain male human. So yeah, there are weirdos, and I accept the label. It's my T-shirt, and I get what you're saying, though, Jeffrey.
Yeah. So, well, everybody,
you know,
thank you.
Some people just think that weird is different from what they are, and sometimes that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Thank you. This has been a wonderful show. Thank you, Jaime. Thank you, Betsy. Everybody, like and subscribe.
Thank you,
like
Gerald.
how I did that?
Thank you, Jaime.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Gerald. Thank you, Jaime.
So.
I'm not going to try. I love you both. I appreciate it.
And, you know, like and subscribe, and, you know, we'll see what we've got next, because these are amazing. So next week, Jaime and I are, we have a back and forth with Manasa asking the questions. We're at a different time. And
talk about a weird time, something weird.
Something weird. And I will still be, I'll still be doing something at my regular time that day too. And it may be a Tarot the Stash way, talking about perhaps ethics or something else, or maybe. So there you go. You know, it's somebody, where it is. It comes from weird, which means magical.
Way of the weird.
Way of the weird. All right, everybody. Thank you. Let me make sure I've got this going.
Much.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace.